Hello. Today at the shop, I'm working on Project Manual Frontier. Since I've decided to keep it, I would like to clean it. I probably would have cleaned it even if I was going to sell it, but since I'm going to keep it and drive it, I'm going to care about cleaning it more. So what I'm going to do is rip the front seats out, rip the front carpet out, and clean everything that I pull out. Try to scrub the seats really well, scrub the carpet really well. I've got a couple of interior plastics that I have sitting there in better condition than what's in here, so I'm going to throw some of those back in. Order a new steering wheel and a new shift knob, just so I can have like a clean item to drive with. But I think just what I'm going to do today is going to make a huge difference in how it looks and feels in here. I also need to order some floor mats, just now seeing that. So I've got a couple of parts to order, but in the meantime, I can make the interior of this feel and look a lot cleaner. Cleaning up the door seals and everything around here is going to make a huge difference as well for whenever you enter and exit. So just simple stuff like that doesn't cost really any money, just a little bit of elbow grease. It's going to make a huge difference. So that's what I'm going to get cracking on right now, and then I'll do a little follow-up of once all that little stuff's installed. But the steering wheel is easy to do, shift knob, all that stuff's like easy. So whenever it comes in, I'll probably just throw it in. But if it makes sense, then I can film it. But for now, I'm just going to get cracking on pulling the seats out and the interior plastics, and then the carpet's my main concern because the carpet's kind of filthy and gross, and I really would like to get that cleaned as opposed to ordering another carpet. But the seats are just 14mm bolts. There's going to be some plugs under each one just for the steering wheel, or not the steering wheel, the airbag sensors, and seat weight sensors. I think if you have the power seats, I don't even know. I think you'd have to get like a higher model for the power seats. This one doesn't have it, so I don't have to mess with any of that stuff. And these seats are kind of light and they're easy to take out. I think there's an amp under here, so I'm going to get rid of that because it sounds terrible. So maybe I'll figure out what kind of messed up wiring they've done, fix that a little bit too, or close it off, and then just make sure I can get just regular speakers to work, and then kind of just go from there. But yeah, this interior is gross, but we're going to make it a lot better. So here we go. Okay, the sound deadening material is installed. The the install went okay. The way that you cut it's all really nice and easy. You just need a pair of scissors. Make sure all your surfaces are clean. And then I think like the big thing is to try to get as much contact as you can, because the space or the air between, like if you don't actually get it to like sit all the way against the material, that's where it's going to not do as good of a job. But as long as you can get it matted down and really, really hard stuck to whatever you're putting it on, that's where it makes more of the difference. So the install that went okay. The inside of the truck's fairly clean now. The seats really do need cleaned, and then they need to dry, and once the carpet's dry I can start reassembly. But for now I've got plenty of work to do in the dash, because I am not running the second amp for the speakers. I'm going to keep the first amp for the sub and then the backup camera, but it's kind of a rat's nest under there, so I've got to clean all that out, get it properly mounted, and then see where I'm at once the carpet's dry and that's done. But I should be able to start reassembling once all that's kind of squared away. But I think it looks good for where it's at now, and I'm excited to see it kind of all back together and drive it around and see how quiet it is. Okay, I got my jumper harness fixed for the stereo. I was gonna say I'm kind of amazed that this stereo even functioned, but it really didn't. There were so many exposed wires. It was bad. And it's still not perfect, but we're in a lot better condition than we were. Everything's solidly connected. Any kind of exposed wires are all tucked off and tucked away. I still need to actually track down how they had the amp set up and tuck that wiring away for whenever I actually add my amp and sub. And then I also need to track down the rear camera. But as far as the actual stereo working, I'm going to test that out here shortly, and that should be it. But yeah. Okay, we time skipped a little bit. I'm not. I worked late into the night to get everything kind of cleaned up, tested. I've got the radio in and tested. It's working great. All the speakers sound great. I ended up putting my little sub and amp in back, and that's tested that. That's working great. The backup camera is getting signal and it's turning on, but no videos coming through, so I'm going to have some troubleshooting I still need to do there. And since I took out all of the carpet in its entirety and did all of the sound deadening stuff, I didn't put the jumper seats back in because I honestly don't like them and they take up a lot of room. So what I'm going to do is put a single MDF board piece down straight and then another one across, just so I can build a little shelf. And what that's going to do is it's going to hide my sub and amp over here, and it's going to give me a nice little cavity to put some straps and tie downs, as well as give me a nice large shelf. And then I'm going to go ahead and carpet it as closely as this carpet is, so that way it looks a little bit more OEM. But as far as ripping all the carpet out, all the trim, cleaning up everything, it really didn't cost any money at all, just a little bit of elbow grease and some time. I would say if I'm looking at this as a flip, or like I'm trying to make a profit and sell this truck, which is what I would normally be doing, I probably would have just removed the seats and then just cleaned everything up as best as I could and then put some floor mats in. Because you'd be surprised how a set of floor mats or even a stain that looks like an eyesore will help sell a vehicle. I know that it's just going to pull, like, you know, now that there's floor mats in, or now that that stain's gone, your eye's going to go for something else, and that's fine. But if it doesn't really cost you any money and it's just a little bit of legwork or a little bit of elbow grease, like, it's totally worth doing if you're going to try to make a profit off of a flip vehicle. So I'm keeping it. So I went way above and beyond what I really normally would have. I cleaned up all the inside of the dash wiring. I've got all that stuff mounted nice and right. So that's helpful, just because that's the kind of stuff that stresses me out, because you don't know what someone else has done, and maybe what they did was like just janky enough to get them by, but after a year or two it starts jiggling something loose, and now you've got a short in your dash or something weird that you're trying to troubleshoot. Shit like that sucks. So I went and took my time through all the dash and got everything set up right. So that stuff's worthwhile, but now that I'm to this point, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get it cleaned up and call it quits for this kind of setup. I'll probably end up doing another section of a video or another little video whenever I do the back wall here, because I've done a couple of them before, but this one's going to be really simple, so it's going to be easy to chuck together. But I'll do another video whenever I do that, because that'll actually finish up my interior to make it look more complete in here. And then by then I would hope that I have my steering wheel. Not that it's a difficult change, but it'd be nice to show throwing a steering wheel on and the pitfalls of that, which there are none. You just don't blow yourself up with the airbag. But that's it for me today. And have a good morning, evening, weekend, whatever you're doing. If you're drunk right now, please drink another one for me. I stayed up late and did not drink so I could do this. But that's it. Thanks, guys. Take care.